Yeah.
Just hecklers in general, man.
Oh
Fuck
yeah,
those
and
people.
I just grind my teeth anytime I'm in like a Twitch stream, or like listening to a Twitch stream in the background while I'm working, and I'm always fucking working on these goddamn games these days. And then someone's like, "Oh yeah, well you know what? Lazy developers just do that. That's what lazy developers with their lazy design." And it's not, that's such fucking horseshit. There was this guy, and he actually lost his shit during this exchange. Um, I came in, and he said, "There's three things that are just lazy design that lazy developers put in." And let me see if I can remember. His first one was invisible enemies, respawning enemies, and enemies that attack you from behind, right?
Okay.
And I thought, and I actually put in, I said, well, it's this guy being wrong again. No surprise there, or what, or what else is new? And he really got fucking mad. But and the thing is, he's like wrong on all counts, because like being attacked, okay, being attacked from behind means you have to keep a higher level of situational awareness, okay, which is much more intense than,
All right, so just before you continue,
yeah.
is his argument that because these types of enemies take less effort to develop, it's just a mark of laziness? Is that what he's saying?
He wouldn't. See, the moment I took him up on it, he said, "Oh, I'm not talking about it anymore." But he actually said, "You know I'm right. Now let's not talk about it." So he wouldn't elaborate on what he meant exactly. I can only infer.
Okay.
I do know
Right.
that he was facing those kinds of enemies and he was losing to them, and I think that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. But like I said, invisible enemies. First of all, the enemies aren't really. They're never truly invisible. There's always something that gives them away. Right. So if you have your eyes peeled, instead of like a bright, shiny chrome, enemy model in front of you, you see a shimmer of air or the flash of a muzzle, right? And then you shoot at the flash, and then it dies, right? It's not truly invisible. It's very rare for an enemy to be truly invisible in a game, right? And even then,
Right.
there's countermeasures, right? There's always a countermeasure, usually a very obvious countermeasure. Usually they're
Just
screaming the tooltip in
ironically,
your
doesn't this
face.
just sound like a lazy player kind of?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the player mentality these days. These Care Bear
Right.
players, they're walking along, they see a wall, and they say, "Oh, I can't believe the lazy developers made this lazy wall. What a cliched obstacle!" And the wall lights up with tooltips. It's like, press this button to climb over, press this button to go under.
You're lazy because you didn't remove the wall.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
You
and
didn't make sure there was no wall there.
yeah, and the thing is, like, it's like I found that making games, and especially interacting with the consumer, it's like if you're a manager at a factory, right? But you're not the owner, and the owner says, "Hey, I want you to give my kid a job," right? And you have to find this spoiled, whiny, irresponsible little shit, a task for them to do that will keep them busy and that they'll enjoy, and just sort of keep them out of the way. And they say, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. Is stupid.
I've actually lived this scenario.
Oh yeah, see, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he's like,
Oh,
"I don't want."
lived
It's
it.
like, you know what? There's nothing more interesting than what I've shown you here, right? It's like if
Right.
if pushing the button on the trash compactor doesn't amuse you on like a childlike level, everything else is at least as boring, right?
Just that's what the money's for. To quote
Yeah,
Don
exactly.
Draper,
And it's
one
like
of my favorite
that's
things.
what it's like when you're making a game for you, because they'll say you're giving the player an obstacle, and then they say, "Oh, an obstacle." It's like, okay, well, here's some enemies. Enemies. And it's like, well, here's a puzzle. Puzzles. I hate puzzles. Like, okay, well, just walk from point A to point B. It's like, oh, can't I fast travel? Okay, fine, you can fast travel, but what else is there? It's like,
You're right. People fucking hate everything.
yeah.
Like it's a constant state of grass is always greener with people that are beta testing games or fucking play testing games. Like, grass is always greener on the other side. If it's too easy, then that's going to be a point of contention. If there's a wall there, then that's going to be a problem, right? Like, if some enemies are invisible, you're going to be lazy instead of the player being lazy and not wanting to figure out
Yeah.
the mechanics of the
Well,
game and shit like
invisible
that.
enemies are
Nope.
great. Like,
Nobody
okay,
ever internalizes. It's like, well, what if you're lazy? What if you're
yeah,
the problem here? Did you ever think of that? Did you ever consider? Of course you didn't,
yeah,
because that's not our reflex. Our reflex is to externalize every fucking thing.
yeah.
You
But
know,
here's the thing: invisible enemies are great. Respawning enemies are great. Enemies that ambush you or attack from behind or from the flanks are great. They're all great. They're all great decisions. Yes, they don't take a huge amount of effort, but they are good because here's the thing, like Dark Souls 2, a game that widely got panned and that I kind of am in the majority and that I think it's the weakest in the series. One of the coolest areas was this area that had these complete bullshit invisible enemies, right? But it turned out, I mean, first of all, it was not a difficult place to actually survive in, right? Because if you ran like a maniac through it, you'd live, right? So it wasn't like it was hard to survive. If you wanted to poke around and get treasure, you'd get fucked up the ass by invisible enemies, right? But then there were, there's always countermeasures, right? There's always, it's like, okay, you learn the patterns. It's like, okay, I can hear the footsteps. I can hear the twang of the bow, right? And then also there's trees with faces, and if you hit them, it causes the invisible enemies to appear like as fog, right? So if you're keeping so it forces you to play on a level that you weren't playing before, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or you can just run through the area and not take a single hit because it's not that hard to begin with, right? It's just not, right? And
sure. Like none of this seems like Ed, I still don't understand his grievance.
Yeah. Well, and then enemies that attack you from behind. Okay, if you're in a hallway, you run to a wall, you take cover behind the wall, you check over your shoulder. That's all you got to do.
Right.
That's all you got to do. Right? Find cover like that's got perpendicular walls so that you're covered from more than one angle. Think, and move. Use your environment. Use your senses. Use some tactical thinking instead of expecting your enemies to just come single file in broad daylight and just pick them off one at a time and move on. I mean, it's like, you're the one.
And by the way, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to play that game.
Well, the thing is, they demand it, and then when they get it, they're like, "This game's boring," and I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, they get No Man's Sky, and then a day later, they're fucking furious. And of course, with the No Man's Sky thing, it's like you said, there was a lot of false advertisement going on there. But at the same time, it was just a boring game. It was a basic game. There was nothing to it, and it didn't keep anyone's attention, which is exactly what they're demanding. I don't want any of these obstacles. But do you want any obstacles at all? Do you want to play a game?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do like walking simulator?
Yeah. Those things are the fucking future.
Yeah, walking simulator.
Except that they'll just make a walking simulator where your character automatically engages in perfect combat with like an aimbot style thing and just perfectly kills everyone as you just walk across the battlefield, unless you don't feel like walking. In which case, a little I was about to say a Segway, but you have to stand on a Segway, like a little motorized chair.
You also have to operate it.
Some big man will come and put you on his shoulders like a little kid, and you can just fire your machine gun from his shoulders.
Fucking like Dave Chappelle in his Puff Daddy sketch, where the guy just carries him off to take a nap.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. No, but like again, like people request that things are easier when shit's difficult, and when shit's too easy, they get bored. So I would really hate to see games go down like that or go in that direction where it's just like you said, this aimbot style fucking walk through the woods, fucking automatically kill shit. Like I don't think that's going to keep anyone's attention, even if they are whiny cunts.
Yeah, it's
the grass is always greener. It's too hard right now. It's too easy when it's not. It's like I've said, developing games is a thankless fucking job, dude. Because eventually you're just gonna get an avalanche of shit, and people make legitimate mistakes, sure. But some of the shit people whine about, man, they're just fucking human beings, and they usually suck ass.
Yeah. You know what it's like. Do you ever watch? Did you ever watch any Dragon Ball? Are you aware of the hyperbolic time chamber?
I've watched no. I've watched very little.
There's this chamber they go in because it's like powering up, fighting, training, more powering up. That's the basic flow of the show, right? At least DBZ. The earlier one was more like just kind of a wacky cartoon. It wasn't like that. But for Dragon Ball Z, it was you train, you power up, you fight, then you train, you power, and so forth. And then they had this guy that was tearing shit up. This boss of that season of the show, and nobody was strong enough to face him. So what they found is they had all along what they called the hyperbolic time chamber, right? And when you went in there, like, time flowed differently, and you spent what was for you a whole year training or doing whatever in the time chamber, but only a single day passed outside, right?
Okay.
So what I found is that, like, making games is like okay, let's say that you're babysitting like a kid, right? Someone else's kid, and they say, I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you're like, okay, and you take some supplies and you go into that hyperbolic time chamber, right? And you
Right.
plant the wheat for the bread, and then you have the grapes. You grow all the grapes fresh, and you grow all the peanuts fresh. There's a little
Right.
ocean there, and you get salt, right, or whatever from the ocean, and you make your own salt. Make sure it's good sea salt, right? And you mix that in with to make with the peanuts to make good peanut butter, right? And then you stomp the grapes yourself to make the jam, and then you make like some jam and some jelly just so like you have both because you don't know which one they like more, right?
Yeah.
And then you make crunchy and smooth peanut butter just because you don't know what they like, and then you bake the bread, and you bake white, and like you bake different breads for all the different things that like Subway has, right? But you make it all fresh, and it's just fresh bread straight out of the oven, sliced, and then you make sure that it is. You spend like a whole year perfecting it, and then you come out, and then you put down the sandwich. It's the great no peanut butter and jelly sandwich has ever taken more, and you're standing by with a little knife in case they ask you to cut the crust off, right? But you serve the sandwich up, and the kid looks at it and throws it on the floor, and he says, "This sandwich sucks." And you say, "Okay, well, why does it suck?" And after chasing them around with their inarticulate whining, you just say, "Look, just tell me what you didn't like about it so I can fucking fix it." And they say, "Well, you cut it into two little rectangles, and my mom cuts it into two little triangles."
I fucking loved that analogy because from the time you said, "Did you grow the wheat?" I knew exactly where it was going, and I fucking loved every minute of that. I might actually steal that in a different conversation. I'm gonna have to fucking bone up on my Dragon Ball Z though to make sure I remember that that's an important aspect of it. It doesn't work without that.
You don't need that. You can just.
You don't need it, but it's funny because the kid's, still in the kitchen just waiting for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And you're in the and that's the thing is for
And they're waiting
them.
less time than you, right?
For
you,
them, it's
fucking year,
nothing.
right?
For them, it's nothing.
Shit.
And the thing is, like when you're working alone on an indie game, especially one that's complex, that's in full 3D with sound and controls and all of these different background systems that are humming underneath the hood, that are all custom built. Okay, it's not RPG Maker. It takes a lot of fucking time to do even the simplest shit, right? And then they just complain about the one thing that isn't there. If you can get them to articulate their issue with it at all, right? It's
Right,
really
yeah.
aggravating. And the thing is, you never know what it'll be. You never know what kind of nitpicky little thing they'll focus on.
Right. And it's super shitty because you're like in your analogy, you always think you thought of everything.
Yeah.
Like when I come out of here, there's no fucking way I've thought of everything. I'm brandishing the little knife in case you need the crust cut off. I especially liked that part when you come out with the knife in hand, ready to cut the crust off, just in case.
Yeah, and then you look back and all your sandwiches have been cut into little rectangles, and you're like,
that's not the
shape.
And kids do that shit too with shapes of shit.
Yeah.
I don't play that fucking shit at all. Oh, I want it in the triangles. Fuck off, you're eating it. This triangle shit, it's the same thing.
And meanwhile, you're like, I wanted all those sandwiches to just be ready to serve, so I made all of them cut into rectangles.
Right.
How the fuck was I supposed to know?
That was your error. That's where you fucked up.
Yeah. I can't support a project like this. I can't support it. I can't eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich like this. I can't just shut the fuck up and eat the goddamn sandwich. That's too much to ask. Jeez. All right, let's actually play the damn game.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, let's see. Some more. Yeah, let's explore some more. And
you found a laboratory?
Cool. Lumi's lab. Okay, I remember this. Sort of. Yeah. Okay. Shop and maybe sell her if I can.
No, you can't sell stuff here. The only place you can sell is in Teladre.
Okay. Yeah.
I can remember. There might be another place.
Let's draft Goblin Ale. Yeah, I'm not quaffing any nonsense in this. So yeah, no unnecessary body modification in this playthrough. I'm actually going to give it a real shot this time. Let's see. Okay, let's go. Let's go places. Just out of curiosity, I want to try this because I vaguely remember. Go to Taladre and then go to. You know what? Try the tower one more time.
Okay.
Just really quick. We'll try that one more.
Here we go. It's an event. You return to the Mage's Tower, enter the main room. You're surprised to see a man carefully turning the pages of one of the tomes, though he does not seem to be reading it. Stacks of books sit next to him. As you close the door, he glances up at you. He says the library is not open to visitors due to defacement and so forth. So, and then he, okay, but that is of little matter now. Quinn, his name is, concludes, if you do not have any business with me or any members of the Covenant, I shall have to ask you to depart. We are not a free-range tower.
I wonder if I should, let's ask him if he's okay. Let's, because normally I wouldn't do that. So let's give it a whirl. See what happens there.
A bit perturbed by Quinn's countenance and apparent exhaustion, you can't help but inquire as to his well-being. The sycophants that clutter this town thought it would be amusing to fornicate wildly and rapidly within the library for no regard for where their filth would wind up or what would be damaged in the process. So no, I'm not particularly well. He says, a sarcastic bend in his voice. It will take months to go through every tome and list the damages and details, updating the index, cross-referencing between existing damages, reevaluation the justification, placing on the shelf. It's enough to slab a man.
Slab. That's interesting. Yep. Okay. Wild fornication in the library. You know the old stereotypes about libraries.
Yeah.
Wild fornicating that goes on there.
Oh, definitely. I mean, finally getting the exposition you were looking for, and then some, you thank him for the information, resolve to talk to him as little as possible in the future.
Bummer. I thought just showing a little bit, just the slightest bit of concern for his problems might result in free shit. That's the only reason I did that. Yeah. Okay, next. We'll see. Okay, so nothing, nada. Okay, try that one more time and study
Places
this time around.
Taladre. Oh,
yeah.
As you wander Taladre's streets, you pass by one of the many dark alleys that litter the half-empty city. You hear the sound of hacking, rasping coughs following your ears. You see a hooded figure wrapped in a form-concealing cloak slumped against the wall, bent over and coughing loudly, wheezing for breath. They don't sound well at all. On the other hand, it could be set up for muggers or something. Maybe you shouldn't try playing the Good Samaritan here. So there's help. Don't help. And never help.
Oh, so never helps like for when this happens again, I suppose?
Yeah, I think the event doesn't come up again.
Oh, okay. Well, never help is an interesting reply. Then let's just say don't help.
Okay.
I smell shit.
All right, so you just walk on.
Right.
So
yeah.
Now you're in the city center. Where do you want to go?
It's just sort of a Fallout scenario where there's people shouting behind dumpsters. You know, come over here. We need help. No, I'm not doing that shit again.
Yeah.
Tower one more time.
It's not an ambush like in the last game.
Right. Yeah. Tower, and we'll try to study this time around.
Oh, okay. So now, yeah, you can study.
Yeah, instead of just talking with Jackass Man.
Oh, I'm afraid. Oh no, he's gonna stop you.
Yeah, too much fucking went on in here earlier, so this is no place for you to be studying. Okay, I've taken the hint.